jolted down some of these questions that they've asked. Wangari, I'll start with you on the question that he'd asked.
All right, thank you very much. I think those were all very interesting questions. I think for me, when I distill it to three kind of concepts that we would like to see from our learnings, from what we've seen in Vision 2030, what has been successes and what has been failures, and to what we want to do for Vision 2060. And I think of three things. I think of coordination, I think of continuity, and I think of consequences. When I say coordination, I think one of the things that have dogged our development is that we work in silos. A lot of our government institutions, sectors work in silos. Health doesn't know what education is doing. Education doesn't know what manufacturing is doing or trade. And this has been very expensive, number one, for our country. And number two, we find that we have a lot of stalled initiatives because we don't have a coordinated effort. One of the brilliant things about a vision, of the uses of a vision, is that we can all aspire to one thing. And if we do aspire to that one thing, then we need that coordination. And I'm hoping that the delivery secretariat, the NESC, can be revived and really been given some strong teeth to be able to deliver this. Continuity is in terms of the projects that we have. Right now we have, the Controller of Budget has reported that we have very, very many stalled projects. Coordination, as I said earlier, between the national and county government is not strong. And then also in terms of the electoral cycles, Kenya, as we know, when there's a new person in town or a new officer or someone elected, they drop the old projects and start new projects. So that, coupled with what we are spending, we say we have this big budget and we start building and developing things, but then we drop them and then start new ones. So this is quite a big challenge, and I think the analogy of the household was quite key. And the last one is consequences. We need to track our progress. If something is not happening well, we need to be able to have accountability. My friend Alex here is one of the key heads of accountability or the people who watch that for us. We need to have clear consequences. And if we're going to compare ourselves to the Asians, I said earlier that we're not Asians, yeah? It's good to have comparators. And I think the challenge I had with the vision is that we're talking too much about them instead of saying what are the principles that we're learning from them that we instill in our vision. So consequences is one thing that I know a lot of the Asian countries got well, that if you're going to change, for example, if you're going to change a budget allocation, you have to have there's a big committee around. If you want to change a small percentage of the budget, that means you didn't budget well, and we need to solve the problem of why you're not budgeting well. So coordination, continuity, and consequences.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. as you pick the mic, there's a question for you on at AI and technology. And this also falls to the young people saying, and even as we're going to, and Mheshimiwa will be telling us, this whole formation of the Secretariat, the number of young people who will be part of it as well. But for Vision 2030, because by that time, I was very young, so I can't really remember very well, but I am pretty sure by 2008, by that time, technology wasn't really, wasn't really a thing. But then moving on, it is, a very big thing at the moment. So that means that by that time, by 2060, there are unforeseen technological advancements that we are not yet sure. How does this ensure and make, the planning of this vision and this conversation, how should it be factored in?
Thank you very much. The issue of technology is real, and technology is changing. Actually, the world is becoming more uncertain because the technology is changing so fast, we don't know where the next productivity projects will be in the next 5 years because of technology. So as we prepare this new vision, we have to acknowledge that. And currently, we are major consumers of technology, and especially AI. We use AI tools to improve our efficiency, our output, and to acquire information. We are consumers of artificial intelligence, mainly. Now, moving forward, if we want to be a highly industrialized country, improving productivity from within and also pushing our whole economy along, we have to invest in research and development to build artificial intelligent models that address and help us solve our most persistent development challenges, and also to be net exporters of artificial intelligence models to address global issues. And that requires research and development to keep in tandem with this uncertain fast growth in technology. We have to be in the front line, not just as consumers, but also as exporters. And just to respond to my friend here who is concerned about the political period and the timeliness of this exercise, this is the news, and wake up and smell it if you haven't heard. There are no better Kenyans than the ones we have today, and there is no better Kenya than the ones we have than the Kenya we are. There is no better Kenya today than the one we are in. People will always have different opinions. It's a democracy. We chose that role.
Do you feel like, and this has been a recurring concern every time, and Ruth will also be talking about even the timelines of it, and it's something that he also raised. Are we rushing this conversation? Because it is, yes, conversation beyond 2030. We are 4 years to 2030. Are we rushing this conversation?
No, actually we will be running late. Late because, remember I said by saying that, and echoing what he asked, we have a long-term development strategy that from 08 to 2030, which is being implemented in 5 years. Actually, the truth is, all these manifestos and development plans of the party that has been, of the different presidents, they've actually been aligned to Vision 2030. They have, that's a fact. They have been aligned. And that means now, we are now on the 4th medium-term frame, which is ending next year.
Okay.
The next 5 years will start from 2020, 2027.
Next year.
Yes, 2027, yeah.
Will start next year, and it will run for 5 years. Beyond, it will spill over.
Okay.
The question is, do we want to have a strategy vacuum and let people just decide abracadabra, this is what I want? Or do we want to say, this is the path we have charted? Because regardless of who comes to power next year, Kenya must continue. We must have a development strategy, even to guide that one, wherever it's going to be. So this is the time. Remember, public participation is a constitutional mandate. It takes time. And like I said, everybody has a voice, and everyone has to be heard.
And thank you for raising that, because now that is where I wanted Rethi to chime in on. Rethi,
Yes.
public participation, those two words in the country are, it's always a hot potato when you're having a public participation on something that affects, Kenyans generally, because the issue would be, some Kenyans would say, well, this public participation did not reach to my doorstep. Or rather, my voice was not heard, or it was heard, but whatever I'm seeing is not what I said. For this conversation beyond 2030, as we envision and leap into 2060, the public participation, how should it be done, as you advise this secretariat that is actually going to be taking the step to ensure that it is done? How should it be done?
Well, you ask a very interesting question. Article 10 of the Constitution, as read together with Article 201, provides for public participation, and I think Article 118 as well. But it will shock you to learn that so far we do not have a public participation legislation in place. We've had a lot of debate and some bill that has been moving in between the Office of the Attorney General and somewhere in Parliament, but we do not have a national legislation that guides on what is adequate public participation. That is what has led to many cases falling when the issue of public participation is brought around. So I am also waiting to see the structures that will be put in place tomorrow as the President launches this process, so that we see what will be considered adequate public participation in the absence of a legislation. The other issue is up to now, we do not have an economic planning or a national development legislation as well. The current law that is used for long-term planning is the PFM Act. So in my view, one of the things that we ought to do, and Mheshimiwa will talk more about this, is come up with a national legislation on economic planning or long-term development planning, which would guide this process. And that is what should actually tie any new administration that comes in to ensure that there is that continuity that Wagari is talking about. If I just go back a bit, if you look at Vision 2030, in my view, we implemented it very well between 2008 and 2013, and 2013 up to 2017. From there, then we came up with something called Big Four. In my view, we started going off course, and we had a lot of emphasis on Big Four. Come 2022, we now started talking about bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And if you look at even this abridged version, it actually even indicates that the medium-term plan 4 is based on better, while in my view, it should be the other way around. And that is why the legislation on economic planning is necessary for us to start this process. And that is why I'm saying we still have 3 years for us to do this right and do it properly, so that any future administration will follow through with the plans that we come up with.
All right, thank you very much. Mheshimiwa, a number of questions thrown to you. A very interesting one that was raised was the legislations and structures that should really be put in place to anchor, and Rithi has mentioned one of them when it comes to making sure that the economic policies are ensured after every election cycle, after every 5 years. But it also, as you answer that, there's something that he raises. How do you ensure that balance of these policies that are set there, but then the political inclinations of whichever president will be there up until 2060? What if by 2040 something they decide, no, this is not the way that we should head as a country?
Thank you so much. I think more or less the questions have been asked zero in to how you are putting it. But first of all, let us remind ourselves of the provisions of Article 1 of the Constitution, that the power belongs to the people of Kenya. They only being exercised through delegations. That all of us, we are in office courtesy of the trust that we are given by the people of Kenya. Why am I putting this? We seem to have gone to a level in our Kenyan politics and space that we are confusing the rights of the people, the agenda of the people, and the agenda of political classes, and I could say persuasions that we have. Kenya is a democratic country. It has brought about several, after multi-partyism, several parties. Some of the parties are informed by the some grounds of it, be it where you come from, regional, religious, or put all that. I think this is the right time as Kenyans that we need to rise above this, as we even discuss this particular document beyond 2030. This is the right time to define well the clear line between the politics, which are not static, which are dynamic. Today it is in this color, tomorrow it's in the other color. Where is the Kenya of Article 1 of the Constitution? This is why we are discussing this. And to safeguard this, as I've said, remember why this is coming at the right time now. As someone was saying, it's not the right time, but 2028 is just less than 1 year. Budgets are read out by June. Right now, we are implementing 2026, 2027, which was just approved the other day in Parliament. Already the plans, budget circular has been issued by 30th August, informing or preparing the sector working groups to plan for 2027, 2028. And that is why I agree with Dr. here that there's a gap that we are staring at. There's a risk that we are staring that probably the next budget, if we are not careful, we may miss on the goals that have been set on us moving the agenda forward. Riti has said that we seem to be having some gaps, and I would wish to encourage him that if there's another country that has gone to establish such a legal framework better than the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 and its amendments and regulations that has guided well that all the expenditure framework have to be guided by plans. So none of the plan is Vision 2030. And it's also good to note that Kenya is not in isolation of the other African countries. We have what we call SDGs. Yes. Standard Development Goals. This informs the Vision 2030. We also have where the world is going. We are not in isolation as Africa. We are also being guided by many other treaties, arrangements with the UN, issues to do with health, World Health Organization. There are some targets that they have set for the whole world. And that is what informs the plans of Kenya. That's what informs the plans of county governments. Remember, when county governments are preparing CIDPs, they're also basing on the Vision 2030. They're also reflecting on provision of SDGs. So this is not something unique. The only thing is that, as I agree, is that we have confused as Kenya, where we are confusing our political aspirations from the real desire of a nation where we should be going. The day we separate this one, we will even have an opportunity to hold those in responsibility into accountable. But sometimes we confuse because of our people, my people, our party, my party, until we lose on that. And we now prepare our election, not basing on this particular discussion we are putting. We prepare our election on our people, on our person, on our religion, away from looking and establishing, assessing the individual who are expressing interest on the preparedness, on the commitment on this particular agenda that we are setting. So that I'm saying this, until and when I want to repeat again, until and when we separate this. So to answer the question of my friend from Mombasa, or from the coast, of course, new constitution, courtesy of the Vision 2030, are sought to address the issue of sessional paper number 10. Because devolution now has brought about equity and equalization under Article 10, of course, with the equalization fund on areas which are arid areas now given. The only challenge we have is accountability. We have a problem on implementation. It is not in the plan. It is on the people. And I think part of the issues that we need to discuss now, if there any other better way of strengthening institutions like EACC, Controller of Budget Office, OAG, so that their reports now could be taken with seriousness. Otherwise, I can say in Kenya, as somebody has said, I think in Africa, we are among the best countries that we have institutionalized our democracy in such a manner that we can have all these address issues. What I've seen only that we are not trying to address, which have been the caps all along, is that on economic aspect, we are still doing poorly because we are still a trading nation. We import almost everything. Like now, coastal region, we should be discussing on how to expand edible oil growth in coastal area because that is the source of the crude oil that we can manufacture our own edible oil. But we see we import crude, and even some areas we even sometimes we import even finished product. So we are losing more on our economic ability industrialization because of lack of focus on areas like coast. Those are part of the issues we need to discuss. So to say that we don't lack legal tools, we have enough laws, I can say. But still, since Parliament is alive and we are there, I represent Parliament, I would want to encourage maybe my good brother Riti or anyone, probably Wangari, speaking from exposure outside there. If we have other nations that have improved on that, we are flexible to also put more laws, yes, legal framework to guard and safeguard, so that those who are coming to ask for power, let them ask us and tell us on this, not tell us. And lastly, agendas and manifestos, all of it. Read Vision 2030. Are we talking of universal health coverage? Are we talking of improving our education, basic education? Are we addressing the issue of infrastructure? Are we addressing the issue of Article 43 of the Constitution, the issue of decency in terms of housing, universal health coverage? If all these manifestos are addressing that one, and then that is where the Kenya should be speaking about, so that we don't confuse people by isolating issues just based on the people we see. Because sometimes we confuse, if we don't like you in power, then we want to add everything, you want to propagate about it, yet whatever you are standing for, as in that office at that time, as an institution, is exactly what we are putting.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for answering some of these questions. I know definitely there are more questions, and even for those who are watching from home, you can talk to us. Our WhatsApp number as well, 0793 267 279, 0793 267 279. You can shoot your questions as well as your feedback on what you think about Vision 2060. What is that one thing that you'd really want to see in this implementation of this Vision 2060. Matuna Julie malizana na first line. Sijui sasa, and I know the